What is the real problem among Filipinos in addressing the world pandemic in which we are a part of it? In my opinion, the real problem among Filipinos is that we, the people, especially our government, became too complacent about the virus when it was just beginning to spread. Until now, most of us are being overconfident in breaking the rules, even though the danger of the pandemic is still here. Death counts are elevating, hospitals are jam packed, and our healthcare workers are getting overwhelmed. What we're seeing here is not the Filipinos' so called resiliency, but simply the arrogance and ignorance towards this dire situation. What are some of the realizations in case problematic situations arise? This pandemic has made me become aware of certain things in life. I realized that as a society, we have not placed a high importance on things that actually matter, such as mental health and environmental health. Most of us have had difficulty coping during the lockdown. We were not emotionally and mentally prepared to cope with the situation. But why? Is it because society has made it a taboo to talk about mental health? Or has mental health received so much stigma for years that no one wants to speak up? It definitely tells us that there was something fundamentally wrong with how we were doing things before the pandemic. I also realized that most of us can't stand being alone. We depend on external things or situations to make us happy. So when everything closed down, for example, the museums, cinemas, bars, etc., we had to depend on ourselves, and it made me realize personally how I had neglected my inner being. This crisis has given me the opportunity to be still, like, somehow free and focus on my inner well being by beginning to practice some kind of meditation, being mindful of each moment. I believe that our external environment reflects our inner well being. As another result of the lockdown, when many human activities stopped, like factory production, etc., we have observed how it dramatically reduced air pollution. The skies cleared in the most polluted cities in the world. The planet was able to heal in a short span of time. I realized that nature does not need us to survive, but we need nature to survive as a human civilization. We have exploited our natural resources as if they will never run out. And if our planet is taking care of us by giving us everything we basically need, should we not also take care of it? If we are the problem, we are also the solution. This pandemic has shown us that cooperation among different groups of people to find solutions is possible through mutual respect, inclusivity, and acceptance of each other's differences. Number 3. Who is at fault? The government, the healthcare system, the attitude of the majority of the Filipinos, or the LGU units and barangay level leadership? Well, I know we can all agree that all of us are at fault here. Where power and wealth is, there is corruption. Especially in the Philippines, which is, sad to say, a den of traditional politicians. People drunk on power and authority, from the lowest official up to the head of the nation, tend to exploit their positions for reasons only God knows why. It is disgusting that even within this time of pandemic, you still have the guts to try and make the citizens look like fools. Considering the fact that these elected officials are supposedly intelligent beings who had better education than most, it should be them that knows what's best for the nation, and yet, even though they know what's right and wrong, they still choose to do the latter. This may be related to what is called intrinsic and extrinsic motivation under the theories of motivation. How it is related is that maybe they do this because they feel good about that behavior, and that is intrinsic. And while they are doing as they please, the people on the middle and bottom of the pyramid are driven by extrinsic motivation, which is doing things because we are compelled to do it. Number 4 and the last question. What possible solutions as a biopsychology major can you propose to solve the worsening situations of the Philippines? Uh, I don't mean to be too negative about the situation, but I think what the country needs is a miracle. It is good to be hopeful and such, but if you were someone without enough resources and connections, you really cannot make something change. There are a few individuals that do good, and that's some light at the end of the road, but we are overwhelmed by people who are driven by their own personal interests. Everyone for themselves, they say, and those that can afford to live gets left behind. But if I be somehow hopeful and as be a psychology major, I would say that if you want something to change, we should do some more awareness campaigns relevant to the upcoming elections. Urge the young ones to vote wisely and of course, to do better than what the older generations did. That's all, thank you. What is the real problem among Filipinos in addressing the world